This story is going to lean into a narrative that I've talked about on my channel so many times before when it comes to PC women and the role that they play in, let's just call it what it is, sexual violations of an underage boy, and how mainstream media tends to frame it or go after the situation. Now, a lot of people, especially a lot of women, love to throw the word sexism around a lot and too loosely, in my opinion. Some of it may apply, but a lot of it really doesn't. But when I use the word sexism in this case right here, it actually does apply. And sexism in layman terms is basically defined when one particular gender, whether male or female, gets certain preferential treatment versus another. And cases like this is exactly what I mean. And you'll see what I'm talking about as I go on with the story. So this woman's name is Ashley Rison. She is 31 years old and she is a softball coach out of Ohio. And this woman has pled guilty on charges of basically violating this underage boy that she has been having improper sexual relations with, or should I say she violated him. Let's just call it what it is. It's a statutory rape with on numerous occasions. And then she went on further and begged this boy to not tell anybody. Now, this story sounds familiar, not because you've heard it before with this particular story, but it sounds very familiar to a story that I've talked about literally like 2 months ago, where it played off almost the exact same way. You had this woman who was a teacher. She was sleeping with her student on multiple occasions, that she even was told not to go near him. She even had I want to say a court order again to not go near him, but she kept doing it, almost like a Mary Kay Letourneau type of thing, and she ended up getting caught. And you had this woman right here who was doing the same thing. Now, she begged this kid not to tell anyone. Now, I don't know the whole story of if he said something or not, and that's what ended up her getting caught, but we're going to find out. A former Ohio high school teacher's assistant and softball coach has pleaded guilty to charges related to a sexual relationship with a student she reportedly begged the student not to tell authorities about. Now, catch this. They wrote sexual relationship. Now, I'm willing to bet if this was a man who was in this position, they would not call it a sexual relationship. To say sexual relationship would pretty much make it sound like the kid was of legal age. Now, this kid was 18. Well, it's a sticky situation because he could have been 18, but if he's still a student, how would they apply that? Because it's like, we know, this is her student, but at the same time, he's legal. But in this case, we don't have to really focus on that because he's still a minor. They call it a sexual relationship as if he's of legal age, instead of calling it what it is. And again, that's where I bring the sexism argument into it, because rarely will you ever have a woman who does something like this with a minor be labeled as a rapist. Like, think about it. When is the last time you have ever heard of a woman be labeled as a violator in the media? Hell, even when it's cases of her messing with a man who is of legal age and her saying, like, maybe doing something to violate him in a way, she still doesn't get that label. Hell, a lot of the times she won't even end up on that sex offenders list. I'm curious to how many women is on the sex offenders list. I might actually look that up and incorporate that into this video, because I'm very curious. That's something I've always wanted to know, but I never just went and did a quick Google search to find out. But I might actually incorporate that at the end of this video once I get through the article itself. But I'm curious. I just want to know. Ashley Rison, age 31, an employee at New Miami High School, is facing 5 years in jail after pleading guilty Wednesday to sexual battery and gross sexual imposition in response to allegations she had sex with a 17-year-old student. Rison's indictment states that she engaged in sexual conduct with the minor 8 different times in April 2021. In addition to what the child tells us, we do have recordings between Ms. Rison and the child of where Ms. Rison makes multiple incriminating statements and begging the child not to report her to the authorities. Butler County, Ohio Assistant Prosecutor Lindsay Sheehan previously said in court, the alleged crimes were reported to the Butler County Sheriff's Office on May 3rd, 2021, and Rison quit her job at the school on that same day. Prosecutors say that Rison is not being charged with rape by force. That's what it says. That says she's not being charged with that. And it is believed that she engaged in criminal activity with only one victim. So there again, they just put it right there for you in the article. The time that they do use that word, they're telling you what she won't be charged with. Even though this would fall under the category of statutory rape, they're basically trying to say that the boy that she was engaged with consented to what they're doing with each other, even though he's a minor. So, like I said, if they can't get her on something like that, then it's not as a good chance she might not even get on that offenders list. Rison began working in the district in August 2015 and was a coach on the girls softball and basketball teams. Rison is scheduled to be sentenced on November 16th and might be required to register as a sex offender. Well, color me, blind, because I didn't see that coming. But it says she might be, doesn't mean that she will be. New Miami High School did not immediately respond to a request to comment from Fox News Digital. So I did the little quick search to find out how many women are on the sex offenders registry, or the FBI's National Sex Registry, and it says more than 750,000 people in total are listed on FBI's National Sex Offender Registry, which is a rough accumulation of registries that are managed by each state. Women make up about 7% of that number, and this was posted October 24th, 2017 on Vice. And I thought it was very interesting that they had a picture of a PC woman up there in the diagram, considering they would probably be the ones that make up for it the most as far as ethnicity goes. But then what I did was I wanted to know, what did that percentage translate to in numbers, so I went and Googled that, and 7% of $750,000, I'm thinking of money, excuse me, of 750,000 is 52,500. So out of 750,000 people in total, only 52,500 women are on the FBI's National Sex Offender Registry. And how much you want to bet that number would be higher if they actually put all of them on there that engaged in a type of act that this Ashley Rison committed. Now, keep in mind, they said that she might be required to register as a sex offender. It doesn't say that she will. How much you want to bet that if Ashley Rison was, say, Aaron Rison, it would be, they will be required. Not might be, but will be required to register as a sex offender if convicted. And it might not be an if convicted. It most likely could be a will convicted. So when people try to talk about sexism, I always link it back to something like this, because this is one of the places where you can easily attach sexism and a sexism argument to a situation. This being one of them right here. Like, look back at various different cases when it came to women and the stuff that they did, very disgusting things with their minor students, or with minors, period. Because we're not going to let them off the hook. We know that when it comes to this particular situation, who is going after the most, because that, that's the one that's their main demographic. But let's not forget the XX chromosome carrying ones that be engaging in this type of activity too. And like I said, not just with their students, but with minor children in general. That's just something that you simply cannot afford to overlook.